Welcome to ISRA League's Grand Touring Championship, brought to you by the Z1 SimWheel LCD display and LCD display software. This software and hardware are both available at z1simwheel.com and can add all of these excellent dashboards and telemetry displays to your sim rig, and you can find them along with actually also a very nice wheel at z1simwheel.com. Well, this is race 4 at Sonoma, the track previously known as Infineon. I'm Daniel Quaroni, and with me here are Brian Carey.
Hello, everyone.
And Anthony Muniz.
Great to be back for another race.
So we've had a pretty exciting beginning to the season. This is the last race before the 2-week New Year's break. And starting at the top of the standings at the moment in HPD is James Cullen with 50 points. Brian Carey and Anthony Muniz, teammates, are both tied in second and third. Mike Young is in fourth, 15 points down from the leader. And then Jeremy Burris and Daniel Quaroni from fourth to ninth are pretty darn close. Then we got Russell Cow leading in the Radical SR8. Huge battle for second through fifth between John Kuzlin, Lauren Bateman, Colin McLean, and Mike Kelly. That one's going to be exciting. Then a big jump in points to Mike Taylor in sixth. So I think that's a great battle going on in the Radicals. And finally, in the 4 GTs, we've got Eduardo Benica leading with 50 points. Todd Carver, though, just 2 points down. And then Daniel Gralti, 5 more points down from Todd in third. And Timothy Stahl and Corey Davis both looking at those first 3 spots. And let's jump on to the map.
All right, you can see here quite a interesting track here. A lot of elevation changes, which you don't quite get to see from this map here. But very, very twisty. Not much of a straight anywhere at all. Between 10 and 11 is probably the biggest straightaway, and that's not much of a straight right there. So look for some difficulty passing the slower classes. This area in Infineon Raceway, well, actually Sonoma Raceway now, previously Sears Point. It's got about 1,000 names, but also known for its delicious, delicious wine. Unfortunately, that's one of the drawbacks of running here in the sim, is you don't get to visit the vineyards around the track. We will make do with racing here in GTC.
And checking out the qualifying, we got James Cullen on pole for the HPD with a 117.1, with Brian Carey on the first row next to him. Then Dimas Molana, Anthony Muniz on the second row, Daniel Quaroni and Ryan Huff on the third row, Troy Harder and John Kelly on the fourth row, and finally Brent Briles and Jerry Morsdorf on the fifth.
All right, Radicals, we got a short 9-car field here. Russell Cow, surprise, taking the pole, 124.856. Chris Damron Jr. Alongside on the front row. John Kuzla and Colin McLean, that battle there for second row. Mike Taylor, Lauren Bateman on the third. Chuck Chambliss, Carl Mumbauer on the fourth. And newcomer Mark Perez rounding out the Radical field.
And for the 4 GTs, Todd Carver took the pole this race with a 1 minute 29.8. Timothy Stoll joins him on the front row. Eduardo Benica and Corey Davis will be on the second row, with Howard McMillan and James Mines on the third. Daniel Gralti and John Rosetto's on the fourth, with Tim McLeish and Matthew Voigt rounding out the fifth row and the top 10.
This is one of those tracks here. It has multiple configurations. If those of you who watched the IndyCars race here this year, as you can see, they're kind of going off to their left, our right on the screen there. The IndyCars race down the drag strip into the hairpin here. So there's probably about 4 different configurations you can run this hairpin towards the back of the track. The S-bends are roughly similar. Again, another difference for those of you who follow IndyCar. Many of you don't, but hopefully some of you do. They run the chicane here at the end of this S-bend section. Us here, we do not run the chicane. Actually, they just went past where it was right now. So it's more of a fast-flowing S-bend section coming into the final hairpin here. So pits are on the screen right, driver's left. The pace car should pull in, and we should have a start coming up right away.
And it's go ahead, Dan.
A very interesting pit entry. We'll talk about it more as someone makes a pit stop, but...
And it's a bit of an awkward start there, as James Cullen gets a great jump off on Brian Carey's ahead into the turn 1 and turn 2. Clean start for the LMPs, and they go through single file into the turn 2. And James Cullen already looking to build a bit of a lead. He got a good jump on Brian Carey. Here's the Radicals, a little bit more dicey as they head into turn 1. It's Damron Jr. fighting with Russell Cow, and looks like Colin McLean close behind.
Yeah, good spread out between the fields there, but that's one of the things at the start, because even that front straightaway, it's curved, like there's a series of left-hand bends, and one of the last couple are like in turns 1 basically is uphill, so it becomes very difficult to go side by side in the start there. So good job for everyone to get into single file and get this race going.
Yeah, I think that probably took a lot of restraint on many people's part, and they were can definitely be commended. Oh, as we have some great side-by-side between Brent Briles and John Kelly. Yes, he did.
So another one of those things, too, where you're early in the race there. I mean, trying to keep up with everyone there, but sometimes your braking points and whatnot, either John braked really early or Brent braked really late. Regardless, a pass was made, and Brent has moved up a position.
And we're watching Daniel Coroni right now, and he's looking to hold off Ryan Huff. Huff looking very racy, and he looks like he's going to be able to take the position on coming out of the hairpin. Coroni on the inside as they head down towards the start-finish line, though. That eventually will turn into turn 1 right now. And they're still side-by-side going into turn 2. It's very, very difficult there. Coroni later on the brakes barely keeps it on the track and maintains his position. Great close racing right there.
Yeah, you can run side by side there, but any mistakes by either driver will be punished by one or both in the wall. So you have to be really, really careful going through there. But that's some good racing by Coroni and Huff there.
And jumping on board with Joe's Moretti, goes a little bit wide, catches a bit of curve. He's going to lose a bit of time there. Go into the radicals, and we're watching Chuck Chambliss in the number 15 right there. And he is battling with Lauren Bateman. This is a fight for 5th place in their class. You can see John Kuzan just in front, so this is a nice 3-way battle here for 4th, 5th, and 6th position in the radicals.
There's also the battle for the bad connection, or who has the worst connection between those two guys.
And normally you expect to see Chuck Chambliss flashing in and out there, but it was Lauren Bateman this time flashing in and out of the screen. I think Chuck has some of his connection issues for this race seem to be less than normal, which is good to see.
Now back up with the LMPs, we're watching with Ryan Huff, and he is holding off the, missed what car number that was, but he's battling with Daniel Coroni, and yeah, Troy Harder just behind. That is number 13, that was the number I was looking for. And you can see this is another nice 3-way group, and we see just behind them, it's Brent Briles fighting with John Kelly. Kelly trying to get that spot back from Briles that he lost on the opening lap down there in the hairpin.
Yeah, this is a good battle for 8th right now, but these guys seem to be going at a pretty fair speed right now. Brent's teammate Jerry Morsdorf in 10th position is kind of lurking behind that battle as we're come back with Ryan Huff.
Ooh, and Coroni wide coming out of that carousel section down towards the hairpin. Looks like that's going to allow Ryan Huff to be able to get by, and indeed he does. He'll take the 5th position away from Coroni because of that mistake. And we'll see how Coroni is able to battle back, and see Troy Harder now right under the rear wing of Daniel Coroni as they head into the S-bend section, and see if Harder has anything for Dan.
Yeah, this section right here, that was that last turn. I can't remember I apologize, I don't remember all the corner numbers here, but that last fast right-hander before you get into the final hairpin there, when you're falling behind another car in the LMPs, you lose a lot of downforce, and the front end tends to wash out. It's flat out when you're by yourself, but if you're not paying attention, very, very easy to run wide, put a wheel off, or worse, end up in the wall and break your car. So, got to be very, very careful here as we watch Chris Dameron Jr. in a radical going through that same corner, where I think they all have to at least be a little bit more cautious in those cars at all times. So.
Yeah, not as much downforce being produced by those radicals like the LMP is, as we're watching go back with the LMP battle, and Daniel Coroni closing back in on Ryan Huff, and he might be able to challenge back. These guys seem to be pretty similar in pace. Troy Harder just lurking behind these guys, waiting to see if they'll make another mistake, and he can take advantage. You can see in the background, though, Coroni very, very close.
And jumping up ahead with Anthony Nunez. Dimas Milana makes a mistake, spins it, and Anthony Nunez gets by.
Doesn't even look like he lifted off there. He saw he was spinning, decided, well, I got to go outside one way or the other, so I might as well do it at full speed. And
he's losing tons of spots. He is now behind John Kelly. So where did that drop him down to 9th place?
Yeah, that's one thing, because the twisty nature of this track and a lot of blind corners, I mean, I was going to say, it's like a good chance to be able to run into someone if they make a mistake like that. Just ask Will Power. I mean, he had a terrible accident back, I believe, in it was 2008, I believe, or 2009. Actually going through, coming out of 3A, it spun and got clipped by another car coming through, and ended up doing some damage to his body there. He was able to obviously come back. It looks like that was up ahead. Is that Todd Carver getting loose?
I think that's Todd Carver. Let's see.
McMillan. Oh, that was McMillan.
Yep, that was McMillan. But Gralty gets by.
And here's the battle for second place in class. Currently, Timothy Stoll looking to hold on to that position. You can see Eduardo Vanica. Actually, this is for... No, our timing scoring now is off. So this is the battle for second place in class. You can see Eduardo Vanica looking to see if he can't get past Timothy Stoll for that second place. He was very, very close going into the hairpin. Todd Carver looking to extend his lead as those two guys battle it out. Looking at the number 38 of Carl Mumbauer right now in the Radicals. He'll go by, looks like Lauren Bateman. It looks like he might have some damage on the front of that Radical.
Honestly, don't know enough about the front of the Radicals to know if it is damaged or not, but we'll take a look at that. Timothy Stoll's not letting Todd Carver get away, but Eduardo Benica is definitely not letting Timothy Stoll get away. He is basically hooked up to his toe on the back of that car there and just letting him drag him along. They are nose to tail.
New nose camera angle here on board with Timothy Stoll.
That is a sharp-looking camera right there. It really gives you a sense for how fast these cars are moving across the pavement here. Oh, McMillan is just snaking across the track. He's going to be able to let James Mines go through. He tried to defend the inside here, but coming off the carousel there, he was just getting a ton of oversteer. He could not get the power down, and I'm not sure if James Mines is going to be able to take advantage, but he was really out of control there.
And you can see the LMP overall race leader, James Cullen, already at the lapping the Ford GTs. As you can see, he tries to sneak his way through these guys that are running about mid-pack right now. So he's going to have traffic pretty much the entire race now, and we've hardly started. Meanwhile, back at the front of the Ford GTs, it's very, very close between Stoll and Benica. Stoll having a bit of a battle there coming out of the hairpin, lost some time, but manages to place his car in the right position and keep Benica behind him as they head down into turn 2.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that briefly during the track map there, but watch these guys try to get through traffic here, because it is very, very twisty, and these cars, these Ford GTs in particular, really have to commit to some of these corners. And I mean, a lot of them will do a good job trying to let you by in easy places, but once you're kind of into that S-bend section, once you're into a corner, you really got to kind of hold your line. And if there's an S-bend, a corner after corner, you really got to hold your line through all those corners. So James really got chopped up there, lost a lot of time to carry there, and leads down to just under 2 seconds.
Jump on board now as we head back down towards that hairpin. You can see the LMP able to stretch its legs a little bit because of the, I think that all LMPs ran medium downforce. It helps to give them a bit of a speed advantage on the very short amount of straights that these guys have. You can see here, it looks like he should be able to make his way around the outside there, as we saw last lap. And there's really very few spots that the LMP can comfortably pass the slower class cars, so that is going to be a big factor. We're watching the continuing three-way battle between Ryan Huff, Danny Coroni. You can see he made up a big amount of time there on Huff as they made their way through traffic. Ooh, that is really dangerous. They're going through that kink as they head down towards the final hairpin. It looks like everyone made that work, but that was very, very, very close.
You just look at how much time Gilles Moret just made up on Jerry Morsdorf. Morsdorf was nowhere in the shot, and then due to traffic, Moret was able to just come right up on his tail.
Lance Snyder, too, you can see he's joined the back of that battle right there as they're trying to make their way through the Ford GTs going through that final hairpin. And it's very, very difficult to know if guys are going to say wide. You can see, I believe that was Tim McLeish stayed wide there so that way an LMP could sneak through. And sometimes the drivers will let you do that, sometimes they won't. And it definitely helps to know the driving style of the car that you are trying to lap. And if they'll do that for you or not. You can see these guys trying to figure out the best way to go by John Rossetto's right there. You can see he stays nice and wide to allow two LMPs through as Moret looks to make a run on Jerry Morsdorf as they head through that carousel section. And he does indeed. He moves up another position.
I was just definitely taking advantage of traffic there from Brett. That was a good job, but like Anthony was saying, some of these, the Fords going through some of these corners here, Ford will tend to brake more in a straight line. And why that's significant is a lot of these, with the LMPs, you want to try to keep the nose down as much as possible, so you tend to trail brake a little bit more, which means the angle into the corner will be a lot shallower than one of those Fords. So it might look like the Ford's staying wide to let you by, but he might be in his normal line, and sometimes you don't know until it's, oh man, look at this.
Wow.
That was, luckily Tim Stoll held his line to the outside there, and just let these LMPs take the inside. But like I was saying, the Fords sometimes look like they're leaving the door open because that's just they brake in a straight line, and it's really hard to tell until sometimes it's too late. Sometimes you get a collision. Luckily, that did not happen there.
And you can see how the traffic helps and hurts everyone. Quilroni really didn't have any room to go there, and Harder was able to get there on the inside. See Quilroni trying to battle back, trying to find a spot to get his nose under the LMP of Harder, and makes a dive under, I believe that was Todd Carver. Yep, that was Todd Carver's, and you can see he took too much speed in the corner, lost a bit of time, and he'll have to get him back going into the carousel. And here's a battle. This is Daniel Gralti and Corey Davis fighting it out. This is for 4th place in the class, and these guys are roughly 5.5 seconds off the leader, so really not far at all. Gralti gets a great run coming out of the carousel, heading down towards that first hairpin, but Davis is going to be on the inside. He'll hold the position, and with that LMP there, that is going to make it a little bit harder for Gralti to take advantage. But Gralti gets a great run going through the corner. He'll have the acceleration, or he should have the acceleration coming out. Oh, and is he going to make me eat my words? Yeah, it looks like he will. Thought he was going to have better acceleration coming out of that corner, but looks like Corey Davis was able to hold on to that position going through the S-bend section.
Yeah. Back on board with Stall here as some of the LMPs are coming through. But yeah, you could totally... Whoa! Very loose there. Was there a car on the inside of him? Or nope, just got a little loose there. But you can see how Dan Gralti was able to take the advantage of Corey Davis having to let Moret through. Able to take the inside, following Moret through, and got a good run through there. But he was able to... Davis was able to maintain a position. Troy Harder's off the track.
And that will elevate Daniel Quilroni and this driver right here, Brent Briles, up a couple positions. That moves them up into 5th and 6th position, respectively. Go on board the front nose of James Mines, number 84 Ford GT, as they head into turn 2. That is Howard McMillan he's fighting with for 6th place.
We saw Howard coming out of the carousel before, getting very, very loose, trying to get the power down. Well, I guess we were away from that shot now, but I was kind of hoping to see him come through the carousel there from that camera view.
Looks like these two drivers have a different line going through this carousel section right here, and Gralti able to get a nice run coming out of the corner. Wasn't quite able to get the power down coming out to get that straight line speed to get alongside and challenge, but seems that Gralti has a better line going through that carousel, and that allows him to catch right back up to the back of Corey Davis. He just needs to be able to get the power down a little bit sooner as we go back to that awesome nose shot from the front of James Mines' Ford GT.
Really get to see the line that Howard's taking up ahead there. He's really hitting all those curves just right. You don't want to hit them too hard, but at the same time, you got to make sure you're on them as well. As Snyder goes up the inside of Timothy Stoll, and Beneca's going to try to get take advantage of that. One of those things too. Once you get out of that initial acceleration phase, as it looks like Snyder got a little loose, the Fords and the LMPs kind of run into the same top end. So once you get past about 120 kilometers an hour, they tend to I'd probably call it about 180 kilometers an hour. They tend to accelerate at about the same rate, so got to really make sure you make that pass early on in the acceleration zone.
And we're watching the opposite camera view now on Howard McMillan's Ford GT, looking back at the man he's trying to hold off, and that is James Mines and his number 84 Ford GT. So they head down into the S section. Not exactly the camera angle we were looking for the last time, but this will have to do.
Nope, it won't have to do because we're going to an external shot now. Mines trying to keep as close as possible to the inside. Oh, McMillan's run wide. He was under pressure by Mines, so he's on the outside. McMillan's on the inside. We'll see if he's able to hold on the inside here.
No, he had to let up in order to make sure he didn't spin when he was off the track. So yeah, Mines gets by without too much trouble.
Good to see how much faster James is than Howard right now, that he's able to get by. Like I say, it was difficult for drivers to pass multi-class LMPs versus the other classes. Doubly hard for the inter-class passing. So.
And we go on board with Lance Snyder quickly as he was going into turn 2 now in 3 and 3A. And he's looking to chase down Jerry Morsdorf, and that is a fight for 11th spot. Not really a fight anymore. It looks like Morsdorf must have gone wide and got into the dirt there at the exit of 3A. Got loose coming out of the corner and had to lose a lot of speed to stop himself from spinning or hitting a wall. So he'll lose a spot. On board with Paul Roy now, heading into the final hairpin, and he's looking to chase back down the number 41 of Ryan Huff. Got a little bit separated from him for a while and lost a position to Troy Harder, but he has managed to get his way back up. That is a fight for 4th place in the class, and that is going. Looks like that might turn into a pretty good one. Both of those drivers seem to have pretty good pace, and we'll take a look back now at the battle between Davis and Gralty.
All right, I still love that Iron Maiden car that Snyder's got there. That's a just an awesome paint job. Not taking anything away from Jerry Morsdorf there and his Whoop-Ass Racing number 42. Very technically good, but just not nearly as rocking as Iron Maiden, nor will it ever be. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing at some point, maybe if Lance is up to it, throwing on like a Slayer or Cannibal Corpse livery at some point during the season. If anyone's out there listening to this, able to do that for him.
And we're taking a look at Troy Harder now as he's looking to fight his way back up the field. Owen has to get on the brakes to avoid running into the back of Brent Briles as he was making his way past traffic. And this has turned into a three-way battle. Now John Kelly also right behind these two drivers looking to make up more positions. That is a battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th position in the class.
Oh, it was Corey Davis running wide there. It's going to allow Dan Gralty to take the position there. That is 4th position in the 4 GTs. Based on how we're running there, we'll see if Dan's able to pull away or not, but that was the opportunity he needed to take that place.
On board a little bit further up the 4 GT field with Timothy Stoles. He's looking to chase down Todd Carver. He's got about 2 seconds separating him from the class leader. And Beneca's still not far behind, about 2.2 of a second. And you can see him right there as Cullen makes his way through the front of the 4 GTs once again.
See Troy Harder there, 7th place right now in the LMPs with Peak sponsorship, which that was that Brent Briles? Yeah, you just got by Brent Briles running right. Just gonna say it's a former Danica Patrick sponsor before her current situation. And Eduardo Benica has come right back up by Tim Stoll. It looked like Tim had pulled away over a second or so ahead of him, but he's now dropped back a second from Todd Carver and back into the clutches of Eduardo. So we'll see if as this battle continues here for 2nd place. Top 3 in 4 GTs are covered by about 3 seconds right now. So
yeah, this will be interesting to see if Benica is able to get by. When he's right behind Stoll, it looks like he's quite a bit faster, but he isn't able to get past Stoll since the start of the race. He's been looking to get by, hasn't been able to do it so far. So it looks like they might be have more similar pace than it appears on screen, at least to me, anyways. We're watching a battle further down the 4GT field right now. It's Matthew Voigt in that Blue Moon 4GT chasing down Tim McLeish in the Steam Whistle that we've seen quite a bit this season, and that is a fight for 9th place in the 4GTs. And Daniel Corwini now right under the rear wing of Ryan Huff, who was held up just a tad bit as they head through the S section. but it looks like he's able to gain a little bit of that back heading out into the final hairpin. But these guys are going to be trading distances and gaps most of the race because of traffic. Let's see if one of those is faster as we head back down to the Ford GTs now.
That was actually Russell Cow in the Radical there with Chris Dameron Jr. now a leader. I'm not sure exactly when that happened, but Dameron Jr. is now leading in class, so that was actually coming on the inside of Russell Cow there with Dameron Jr. just ahead in the white car. I'm sure it's a high quality of paint that he used for that car, but nonetheless still very white.
Yeah, that's actually a good spot, Brian, because Russell Cow has been very, very dominant so far this season in that Radical, so it's good to see someone else challenging him for that top spot in the class. And we're looking at Dimas Maulana, who is really looking like he's going to be able to get by Brent Briles here. This is for 7th spot in the LMP class. And I believe we remember earlier in the race, he lost quite a few positions in this corner they're coming up to right now. It gets a bit of oversteer. Looks like he's going to have the position on Briles. Indeed he does. Gets it under braking. And he's moving his way back up the field, but it's going to be quite a challenge to get way back up. I think he fell from 3rd place when he had his spin, so that's going to be quite a task to make that time back up. You can see both of these LMP drivers here as we ride on board with Dan Coroni. It's nice to be able to get the onboard from his because you can see the telemetry and all the data that's on his dash. Ooh, it gets a bit of oversteer coming out of the hairpin. You can see how much he had to check up to avoid running into the back of Ryan Huff as they followed a Ford GT through that, I believe, what is that, turn 10? Yeah, turn 10 down towards the final hairpin.
Yeah, when we got the shot before, as we see the battle Matthew Voigt and Tim McLeish there, always talk with the steam whistle. Unfortunately, I don't have any of that in my fridge right now, but I definitely have several bottles of delicious Sleeman's Honey Brown, which would be another potential paint scheme for Tim again, if I'm just going to be throwing out random paint schemes that I like to see in other people's cars the rest of this race, but that'd be another good one.
Next season, maybe. And we go on board the nose of Troy Harder's LMP, and you can see he's managed to make up the time that he lost. And he is now back behind Dan Quaroni as he is looking to make that spot back up. And this has become a 3-way battle again after probably 15 minutes or so of these drivers of Harder apart from these 2 drivers in front of him. So that'll be a fun 3-way battle to watch. And here's another battle in the LMPs. It's John Kelly trying to hold off Jules Moret. And this is for 9th place in the LMP class.
Oh, that's John got held up pretty badly by Howard there. It's kind of an awkward spot. You got to time a run through that corner. There's a few places where there is a gap where the LMP's acceleration will just take it past the Fords. So you kind of want to time your runs through there to kind of, you don't want to get in the way or hamper the Ford's race. But as we got Tim Stahl coming into the pits here, very, very long pit lane.
Cool.
Not quite as smooth as you would have liked, but okay.
And pretty early pit stop as we jump on board the Ford GT of Corey Davis, and you can see he's stuck right on the back bumper of Daniel Gralti. And with Stoll pitting early, this is a battle for 2nd place in the Ford GTs, with Todd Carver currently 15 seconds, almost 15 and a half seconds in front of those guys. So Carver's built up quite a bit of a big lead. And Eduardo Benica, who was right there with Todd Carver and Stoll, has fallen down into 6th spot, quite a ways off the lead. So he must have had an incident somewhere. There he is right there, actually, on screen.
And Kuzin off track, and Chambliss gets by without any trouble. That was some difficulty with the Ford GT there. I don't know if there was any contact. Both the Ford GT and Kuzlin went off, so something went wrong there.
Yeah, definitely got a little sloppy between 2 of them, so definitely contact is possible, but very difficult part of the track, so it could have really been anything, one driver going off, another driver just kind of following him. That's something that's very easy to do here. A driver will just be late in his brakes, and you're running close with him. You just kind of drive off the track with him. It's just kind of human nature to follow along with someone like that when they make the same mistake. It looks like James Mines has decided to get in the action there, so that's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the moment. Actually, going back to the Tim Stall's early pit stop, I think it's my understanding that with the Ford GTs, your first couple laps after a pit stop are going to be some of your fastest. So an early pit stop, the lap time's going to level out after that. So an early pit stop might be able to get you some track position on some other drivers.
Also, I'm sure the amount of fuel and the fuel strategy probably plays into that. So if he's just going for if he was running a little bit light at the first stint and then just fill up just what he needs to get to the end now, that could help him gain some time later in the race. But right now, these guys have taken up the spot that Stoll was currently holding, and they're having a nice three-way battle. We'll jump on board with Gary Morsdorf, who we haven't seen a whole lot of this season, so it's nice to get on board his LMP. He's looking to chase down that Iron Maiden of Snyder, or that Iron Maiden LMP of Snyder. He runs quite wide through that first hairpin right there. I'm not sure if there must be another car he's letting by.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell there because
it doesn't look like it.
No, wait, I think that's could be Cullen. Yeah, Morsdorf now showing a lap down. That's Cullen right there.
Yep.
But he's right back on Snyder's tail, as he had to let by Cullen as well, so then it all works out in the end.
And you can see Howard McMillan. Yeah, Howard McMillan was going to hold the outside line there, and a bit of a miscommunication there, I believe, for Gary Morsdorf, and he probably could have taken his braking a little bit later and not lost that little bit of time, but that's all right. Regardless, we'll jump back over to the Ford GTs. It's still close between Gralty and Davis. These guys are still fighting it out for second place in the class at the moment, and that looks like that must be...
that's Colin McLean back there.
Yep. And McLean actually having a solid race so far. He is running in third place at the moment. He's a bit off of the leaders, Damron and Cow, who have put a roughly 15-second gap between himself and McLean. But McLean, I don't think he had all that much practice for this race. I remember him saying in the pre-race practice, so he's having a solid race for the limited amount of running that he's had. And see Brent Briles making a pass on Troy Harder, who has taken his pit stop.
So this is it was a 70-minute race, correct?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Okay, so in that case, again, looking for the 35-minute mark on our clock there, halfway point. LMP is typically pitting from the halfway point on, so you can look that there. As you can see, Tim Stall pitted well before the halfway point in the 4 GTs, and Radicals, I'm not seeing anything right now, but there's Jerry Morsdorf coming into the pits early, so he'll be able to get to the end of the race from there.
I was hoping to stay with that shot for a little bit longer, but as you could see there, where Jerry Morsdorf was there before we cut away was not in the pit lane speed limit area. So drivers are going to be trying to go around that corner, that sort of sweeping right-hander as fast as they can, and then they get to the pit lane speed limit area.
Yes, it's very tempting to take that corner as fast as possible to try and...
You can see it on the right here, that area with the barrels. Right on the left, that white line is where the pit speed area starts. So you can see there's quite a bit of room there that you can... Yeah, drivers will be very tempted to go very fast and dangerous through.
Yeah, no, I've scraped up a few LMPs in the practice trying to figure out how quickly I can take that corner to max... or get the maximum amount of speed going into the pits, so that way I'm spending less time going slow. And looks like just back to the racing on the circuit. Ooh, Corey Davis goes very, very wide going through the first hairpin, but he gets a decent exit. Looks like that should allow him to defend against James Mines. You can see, yep, he's actually having to apply a little bit of brakes there to get back in line heading through the S-bend, but it looks like they've managed to lose touch with Daniel Gralty. He's pulled up close to 3 seconds on these two drivers right now, so something happened, whether it be traffic or a bit of a bobble from Davis that caused them to fall back a little bit. So a little bit of breathing room for Daniel Gralty at the moment, still holding second place.
Now that's interesting. That's the second time we've seen a car go wide on that corner and pull ahead of the car that looked like it, by all normal rights, should have gotten ahead by taking a narrower line. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder if that's actually a better line for the Ford GTs somehow.
Yeah, I think we've seen Corey Davis do that a few times this race, where we thought that he was going to get past, but he managed to hang on to the position because he's just able to get the power down. He gets he accelerates in a straighter line, I guess, and he's able to put more power down than someone that's going through the other way. Doesn't seem like it's going to be the fastest, but he makes it work. And just taking a look at the battle that's on screen right now, it's Quilroni and Huff still battling it out for 4th place in the LMP class, and these guys have been separated a little bit. Looks like Quilroni's been able to close the gap between himself and Huff, and there's now less than half a second separating these two drivers, and we've seen Quilroni able to get close, and then he'd fall back a little bit, and then he closes it back up. He's closed it up now, and not a whole lot of traffic in front of him, so they're going to have a bit of free air as they head through towards the S section. So you can see if he's able to close the gap and possibly make a move coming down into the last hairpin.
Yeah, getting the power down is definitely the challenge right there. So you're right that that's exactly how Corey Davis was able to do it.
Well, awkward place for Ralph to catch his 4GT and see if Quilroni's going to be able to take advantage. He can get a huge, well, not as big as he needed to make the pass, but Ryan Huff very smartly timing that just perfectly to catch the 4GT on the exit there.
Ooh.
We're on board with Quilroni here as he's coming up behind Huff. There's a gap, just looking at the screen here, it's about 0.6 of a second right now, so that's what that looks like from the onboard. Really not a lot he can do to get much closer than that. Going through the corners here, just the accordion effect of the cars going through the slower corners to the faster corners. As close as Dan can get in the slow corner once they accelerate out of it. Actually, probably be a little bit closer than that, but not by too much. He's really going to have to count on a mistake from Huff to make a move here.
And we get a good idea, well, we were going to get a good idea just how close Quilroni was getting. A bit more traffic that they're going to work their way through. It looks like they'll be able to get by both of the cars easily going down into the first hairpin there. Ooh, a bit of a lockup there from Quilroni. Doesn't seem to affect him too much, but able to be able to get through the corner nicely. And there's a few 4GTs here, so he's going to close right up on the back of Ryan Huff's LMP. You can see they have to basically just coast through that corner. And a couple more 4GTs up there. I'm not sure they're going to be held up quite as much, though.
I really loved how that lockup looked, so kudos to iRacing for that. You could see I locked it, but there was a moment there where it was going just a little bit slow, and just very nicely done, I think.
Yeah, these cars definitely look sharper on the track here. It's a very, again, trying to blur the difference between, we talked about all the time, but blurring the difference between reality and sim racing, and especially watching some of these close battles here, it's easy to forget the difference. Especially if you watch the track here to Sonoma / Infineon / Sears Point. That just because there's not a lot of vegetation around, as you can see, it's pretty relatively barren in and around the track. That doesn't look a whole lot different when you watch it on TV.
And it looks like that they have some clear track in front of them, so it's just going to be the outright pace of the two drivers at the moment. No traffic to interfere and hold them up as they make their way through the first hairpin. And Daniel's pretty close at the moment, but we've seen him get close before. And yeah, there's quite a bit of clear track in front of them, so they'll just have be the two drivers and we'll see what their pace is compared to each other right now. Looks like they're pretty close and competitive, I think, though.
But with 36 minutes on the clock, pit stops might start to come into play here as we are entering the pit window that we'd expect the LMPs to take.
And actually, speaking of pit stops, we don't notice it before, commenting on Tim Stoll's early pit stop, he has just now come out of the pits. He is 6 laps down right now. Eduardo Benica 5 laps down, so those early pit stops, more than just early pit stops, they may have come together at some point.
Well, it would make sense to see both of those drivers fall from the standings, because we remember seeing them up in second and third place. Stoll pitted from what I'm assuming is second place, and we saw Benica running out once Stoll made that pit stop, but he was down in maybe 8th place. So fitting the clues together, it would seem that they had some sort of coming together, and they put some damage on their 4GTs, unfortunately.
Alright, we're just looking through the field here. Like Dan said, pit stops are coming up any moment now for a majority of the LMPs, but looking around the field here, this is by far the closest battle right now. I think Corey Davis is about a second and a half back of Dan Gralti for second place in the 4GTs, but We've got Dimas Maluna is now joined the battle here, so it's now a three-way battle for 5th position.
Oh, and somebody was in the
pits.
pits.
That's Ryan Huff. So Ryan Huff the first to break, right almost pretty much at the halfway point, so he split the difference and gone 50-50 on fuel, so to speak, and some of these guys are going to go a little bit longer than that at least, so see how that plays out. Where Dimas is able to make his run back to the field. He was up near the front of the field at the beginning, spun early, and is now back up to 5th. That was that Radical there just trying to let the other guys by and ran a little bit wide himself, unfortunately. Got caught in a very difficult position. Turns 3, 3, and 3A all very tight for him. So his earliest opportunity tried to let him by and ended up going off the track. So Dimas here is trying to run down Crony here. He's going to, I don't think he's got the speed on his own, but next time they catch traffic, look for him to try to make a move.
Yeah, like we pointed out, it's very, very difficult to pass here, especially when you're dealing with other traffic. You really have to kind of rely on a mistake or a hold-up from the other driver when he encounters traffic. And like we saw earlier in the race, Tim Stoll was able to... Ooh, that looked like Chuck Chambliss, I believe, was very slow there off the track. Going back to the point I was making, like we saw earlier in the race in the Ford GTs, Tim Stoll was able to hold off Benica for quite a long time, even though Benica would be close, and it looked like he would be quick and was going to be able to find a way by, but Stoll was just very good about his car placement. He put his car exactly where it needed to be able to not allow Eduardo Benica to get a run or get alongside him to even attempt to make a pass. So you can really hold off someone here fairly easily. And yeah, that isn't indeed Chuck Chambliss there, who is very, very slow. It looks like he must have some sort of damage on his car.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of action happening right now. It was the there's Troy Harder, and let's see, is that right behind him there? I missed the name. I think that's Howard McMillan in the Ford GT, and a flashing Radical, who is... could be Mark Perez. I think it might be Mark Perez. I don't know if actually is Mark still running.
Yeah. Oh no, he's 20 laps down. I'm assuming that he's probably not running right now.
Okay, I really got to nail down those Radicals here. I know most of the 4 GTs and LPs, but Radicals sometimes escape me here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Maulana really getting close to the back of Poloni's LMP there, and just managing to miss it. But that was a great example that we, great thing that we added the front nose camera to these cars, and you can see just how close he actually got to the back of Dan's car.
Cullen just exiting the pits after his pit stop, so that's put him from first down to 5th.
There he is, just in the background there. You can see him coming up behind these two guys. Now, I think the gap that James Cullen had in the lead when he made his first pit stop was round about 18 seconds. So let's just see how that shakes out after the pit stops are all told.
And it will also be interesting, depending on when these two guys in front of him pit, because he has his pace is quicker than the two cars that are he's behind right now. So I'm wondering how much he's going to be held up because he's behind cars of his own class, which are much harder to pass, and they're battling for position. This is a battle for third place effectively right now. They'll drop a little bit farther back once they make their pit stops, but they're not going to want to just move over and let Cullen by. Oh, it looks like Maulana is in the pits.
And Tim McLeish has decided to follow him in the Ford GT, so I guess they're going to see a lot of action in the pit lane here. And this is one of those times where I wish iRacing had actual animated pit crews. I mean, it doesn't really help the sim all that much, but for the purposes of our broadcast, it's nice to see some action that you typically see in a TV broadcast.
And on board with Brent Briles, I'm guessing he's making a pit or a pass on someone who's in the pit lane, probably Maulana.
Dimas, yeah, Maulana.
Yep. I don't believe Brent has pitted yet, so that should reset itself back after the pit stops are made. It doesn't look like Colin's able to run down Coroni all that quickly right now, so I mean the speed difference probably has a little bit of pace on him, but it doesn't seem like it's all that much right now. Oh, that Ford has a terrible pit lane speed limiter.
You see the overall race leader right now, Brian Carey, just going by. He's going to get an extra bonus point there for leading a lap in this race. Ooh, and oh wow, that's right.
Oh, that's Huff right in front of Maluna.
Wow.
Maluna takes a moment to poop his pants and then continues on racing. That was a very, very close call there.
Well, that was a battle out before they went in the pit lane, and because of that spin, Ryan Huff has dropped himself quite a bit of time. I'm assuming that means as long as there's no incident from Coroni, he'll be by as well after he makes his pit stop.
Pretty sure Coroni wanted to see Ryan Huff hold up on Maluna a little bit more there.
Probably,
take advantage of his pit stop, but unfortunately, well, fortunately for everyone, they got out of that all right, but Ryan Huff has dropped down to 8th position at the moment. Still about 10 seconds up on Troy Harder. There's Colin McLean. I'm just noticing the top 4 for the Radicals are all in the 60s, their car numbers. 60 for Dameron Jr., 63 for Russell Cow, 66 for Mike Taylor, and 68 for Colin McLean, which will make identifying their cars all the harder. So thank you very much, guys. And nope, that looks like that is Mike Taylor in the light-ish blue, or the lighter blue.
Yeah, the lighter blue.
And then there's Colin McLean in the other Radical. Guys haven't had a chance to paint their cars yet, so that's where we're getting confused, and they're literally 2 numbers apart. So, Mike, Colin, I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on you here, but maybe you want to look into that and help us out here, throw us a bone a little bit.
I think the problem is that the Radical is particularly hard to paint, and so a lot of these guys just gave up.
I don't know, just call him, put a cross on there or something like that, and call it a day. I guess that'd be hard too, considering the contours of the car, but whatever.
Well, you know, it's strange that they all chose the solid color scheme, too.
Yes.
I think it's a conspiracy.
I do. I think it is a conspiracy to mess up our hour and a bit qualifying, or commentating, sorry. Well, there we go, side by side. Might as well just put them together and kind of merge the blues together, and they'll just have one car. Well, we're ignoring a good piece of racing here. It looks like Colin's able to take 3rd place from Mike Taylor, so as they're trying to navigate Corey Taylor right now, who's sitting 3rd place in the Ford GT. He's not all that far back from Dan Coroni there, as he very graciously lets them by going through the S-bend here, and well, he lost quite a bit of time by doing that, but I mean, there's still 27 minutes left in the race, so a lot of racing left for everyone involved.
And here is Troy Harder, who is making a pass on what I assume will be John Kelly, who is currently in the pits. Yeah, actually right there. So John Kelly just barely missing out on the race in the pit lane to Troy Harder, and that will move Kelly into 9th place. Troy Harder making his way back up from 8th. He's had a few incidents this race, and he's trying to fight his way back up. He's been as high as probably 6th, or no, 5th place rather. But he's, like I said, he's had a few incidents and dropped down the field a little bit. We were focusing on Gilles Moret, and he's currently running in 10th place. He has fought with John Kelly this race, so it'll be interesting to see if he's able to catch back up. There's a bit of a gap between himself and Kelly, but it's possible he could overcome that and give us another fight to watch. We're watching Tim McLeish right now, and he is currently in 6th place, and he's looking to chase down John Rossettos in that Windows 8 Ford GT.
Yeah, it looks like James Collins going to catch both these guys in the S-bends, which is a very awkward place to get them. He'll try to go to the left of... There we go, right there. That is one place we can get by there. If you time your run perfectly, you can just drive around that car on the right-hand side. Another place is coming out of this corner here as James goes to the inside of John Rossettos, going into the hairpin there. So if you time your runs through those 2 corners there, you can get by without costing your driver time. It's a very tricky thing to do when you're running at speed, especially battling with someone, but the best way to do it is you can see Corey Davis with a few bugs on the windshield there.
Yep, and because you can see those bugs on his windshield, you can tell that means that he hasn't pitted yet because the crew hasn't taken one of the plastic, whatever they're called, the sheets off.
Tear-offs.
Yeah, the tear-offs. Thank you. Yeah. And he's still currently fighting with Daniel Gault. He's a little bit further back than we've seen him before, but neither of those drivers having made their pit stops yet, and they're separated by about 1.5 seconds. You can see Gault's just ahead of him right there, and looks like I believe that's Karl Mumbauer and the Radical separating them. Yep, there it is. Oh,
that's an interest. Where is Karl going? That's the NASCAR track for those, and he's has he maybe just thrown in the towel? I guess Lauren Bateman is 2 laps behind him right now, so maybe Lauren's retired as well. So maybe Karl's just had enough. Which means we're only down to 4 Radical runners at the moment.
and you can see the overall Radical leader right there, just in the shot, that white Radical of Chris Damron Jr., and he's got a close to 5.5 second lead over Russell Cow. Oh no, and that's Ryan Huff just getting off into the dirt.
Same place.
And he is way up the hill. That's going to cost him quite a bit of time, and that is more than likely going to completely eliminate him having a chance to battle back with Dimas Maulana and Daniel Quaroni later in the race once they make their pit stops. Corey Davis now diving into the pit lane for his scheduled pit stop, so he decides to pit before Daniel Gaulty. See where those two drivers come out after pit stop cycle through. On board with Troy Harder. Again? That looks like, yeah, that was Huff again spinning, so he's losing lots of time this lap. Troy Harder moves past up into 7th place.
Oh, Tim McLeish. Oh, that is a race-ending crash. He might be able to drive away from that, but that car is bent pretty bad.
Yeah, that's turn 2 there, and that is very, very tricky to get right in any of these cars, and I'm sure it's probably the most difficult in the 4GT. And yeah, like Brian said, that is going to be race-ending. That's broken suspension. You can see bodywork was all broken, so unfortunate there for Tim McLeish.
So Huff not going into the pits, so whatever he's having problems with, it's not due to damage.
Yeah, I think it must have been... he just had an unfortunate kind of lapse in concentration. The first spin might have caused the second one, just because if you have a first spin, you kind of have the tendency to think you need to make up all the time you lost in one lap, and so you really overdrive the car. I know I've done that in the past before too, and that often leads to more mistakes, which end up costing you more time instead of gaining any back. So it's an unfortunate mistake that Huff had. Hopefully he's able to get his kind of set back for a moment, relax, and then get his head back focused and finishing out these final 22 minutes left in the race. He's still fighting for position right now. We're on board with John Kelly, so he needs to see if he can't hold off Kelly for 8th place.
Alright, so let's see what we're looking at here following Howard McMillan, who's passing Dan Gaulty in the pit lane, Dan Gaulty's made his pit stop, so that's getting Howard McMillan up to 2nd place for the moment. So we'll see where Gaulty comes out in relation to Corey Davis, who's made his pit stop already.
And there's Corey Davis right now. You can see he's coming around towards the timing line. So let's see where Gaulty comes out. Looks like he's just exited the pit lane, I believe, right now. Yes, he did. So able to stay in front of Davis after pit stop cycle through.
And Davis comes out right in front of a pair of LMPs, so there he is. You can see he's trying to get out of the way there, so it's not going to do well for his time there. And the race leader, actually, well, not sorry, the race leader, 3rd place currently, James Cullen.
And
Huff again?
Yeah, Huff loses another spot to John Kelly there. That is for 8th place, and I'm guessing he probably went a little bit too wide exiting 3A. And if you get your wheels onto... There's a lot of curbing there that you can use, but if you get just a tad bit too far, you'll definitely lose traction, and I'm guessing that's what happened. I think he kept it off the wall, which is good, but he's lost time. You can see John Kelly just up there, who's letting the overall race leader through, and that kind of helps Ryan Huff. He's able to catch right back up.
James Cullen was actually not the overall race leader, correct? Brian Carey was the overall race leader, actually still is, but he is in the pits and will probably lose that spot.
At the back of Cullen. Oh, Kelly just ran into the back of James Cullen and
collected.
getting... Oh. I wish we could see a replay of that because that was kind of strange. I don't know if James Cullen had backed off to make a run on the other car there, but John Kelly, ran into the back of him, ended up spinning and collecting Ryan Huff. So that was a very interesting sequence of events there.
Indeed it was, and that is James Cullen is the person we are expecting to take the overall race lead again. You can see John Kelly pulling into the pit lane right now. He has some significant damage to his car, rear wing and suspension by the looks of it. I think James Cullen was got off very lucky from that incident. It looked like Kelly hit him pretty much straight on in the back, and I guess he must have. You can see got a little bit airborne. I think that I forget which race we saw that in, but we saw it with the Radical and a 4GT. I think it was Spa. The same sort of thing happened, and you kind of got under the car, so he might have got lucky and got away with that one.
And while Anthony is talking, I'd like to point out that he is Anthony Muniz, currently a race leader right now, just ahead of James Cullen. He has yet to make his pit stop, but holding about a 5.5 second lead over James Cullen at the moment. So look for the timing and scoring on the left-hand side there for the 4 to number 4 entering the pits. We'll see if it happens this lap or next.
Oh, and another battle that we were looking at once pit stop cycled through, Dimas Maulana, who was battling very, very closely with Daniel Qualroni right before they made their pit stops. We're watching him right now. And Qualroni is just in front. You can see up there's his Kaiser car right there. So their battle is resuming. 18 minutes left in the race for him to be able to try and get by. And Dimas Maulana has done a pretty good job recovering after his early spin right here at this corner. He's got himself up into 6th spot, and he's looking to see if he can't make up another one for 5th.
Actually, Anthony Muniz is officially leading a lap now. He's led the 39th lap, so that's another bonus point in the books there, as Maluna is right on the tail of Peroni there, and he has caught him up pretty quickly. There's a lot of very traffic-induced. We'll see what he can do with him right now in clean air. A little hesitation there from Peroni as he went to put the power down coming out of the last corner. I don't think there's anywhere for Malana to make a run out of that, as this is pretty much twisting all the way up to turn 2 here.
Yeah, very much a one-line corner there, and you can see Qualroni able to take the preferred line, so he's going to stick in front of Maulana right now. But it'll be interesting to watch that battle unfold. It looks like I can see a bit of bodywork damage on the back of James Cullen's car, but his wing looks straight, which is the biggest factor. All right, so got to get that bonus point.
Yep, so James Cullen, there you can see it right there. James Cullen passing, regaining the lead officially. Remember that we said Cullen's lead before the pit stops was about 18 seconds as Kerry comes across the line here. The lead is down to 9 seconds right now, so.
And we'll keep a close eye on that to see how that that battle could turn into a battle, I guess, for first unfolds, because there was damage. Ooh, and Maulana's going to take advantage of traffic. He's going to dive on the inside of Qualroni going into the final hairpin. He's going to have the preferred line. Qualroni does a four-wheel drift there going through the final corner. Ooh, let's see. Maulana might not have been able to get the power down. And it looks like Qualroni able to hold on to position. He's taking the preferred racing line through turn 1 and now into turn 2. Oh, a little bit of a bobble there. Owens oh, is that contact, I think?
Yeah, that was contact. Oh, I wish we were watching this from TV view, but that's too bad.
So some close racing right there, and it looks like Qualroni got a little bit sideways going through. Unfortunately, I couldn't tell if because he got a little sideways was the result of the contact, but it looks like both cars got away with that one. None of them seemed to be crabbing all of that badly, so I think they were lucky and able to get away with that one and continue on.
A little damage to the front left splitter there from Maluna. So Dan, was that spin then contact or contact then spin?
No, that was spin then contact.
Okay. That's what it sounded like from the onboard there. Just gotta make sure sometimes, because it was pretty close. Maluna was right on Dan's tail, and he's gonna have another crack at it here. We'll see. He's about, let's see what the gap is, about a second and a half. Right? Well, you can see it in front of you right there, but that's timing and scoring sense. It's about a second and a half right now. This is a really cool camera view here. You can't really see where you're going, especially from that view. I mean, that's not too much for this driver's onboard here. This one is, well, probably the onboard one's pretty close to what you'd see from the car, but very blind here. You don't know where the apex is here until you get there. Basically, right there, coming through 3A, coming down to 4 is again another slightly blind apex, but you can kind of spot where the track goes. And very, very good elevation change there. It's one of those road courses, I think, in the United States. It doesn't get a lot of credit for being a good road racing track, and it's a really good multi-class track too, just because it is so tight and it presents a different challenge. And
in contact there.
Is that stall?
Oh, stall.
Yep.
There's 7 laps down in 7th place, unfortunately getting spun there, and that's Maluna getting by.
Yeah, just a bit of a miscommunication there. Quantity looking to take the inside there, coming out of the carousel, and Stoll held the inside, and the two came together. Unfortunately, it looks like Quantity's car is surprisingly undamaged from that. He was and yeah, he's actually fighting back with Dimas. So let's see if he's able to get the pass back on Dimas. But yeah, I think both of those guys have had some lucky getaways from late race incidents.
And the gap from James Collin back to Kerry is back to about 10.5 seconds, so it looks like that's extending for the time being.
Yep, it's gone up probably about 0.8 tenths of or 0.8 of a second since the last time I've checked. So the damage that we could see on the rear of Collin's car, obviously not affecting him that much, as he's able to continue to open up a gap to Kerry. But we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, Collin has the pace right now, but based on the pace that he's had previously, where he's have probably close to 30 seconds on the rest of the field right now, the gap is coming down quite a bit compared to the previous races this season. So interesting to see how that plays out. Kerry seems to be able to hold the he's managing the gap right now. The gap's come down a little bit since we've kind of last reported on it not that long ago. So we'll see how it plays out. And here's Daniel Gralti. We haven't seen much of him since he made his pit stop and was able to keep in front of Corey Davis. He's currently running in 3rd place. Howard McMillan still in 2nd, so he has yet to make a pit stop, and he's pushing it to the very limit. Actually, that's the reason we're watching Gralti right now, Howard McMillan in the pit. So Gralti back up into 2nd place, and he has a sizable the gap's changing now. He's got about 5 seconds, we'll say, between himself and Corey Davis. So that gap has extended fairly significantly since the last time we saw those two cars close together.
Yeah, things have kind of settled down here. I'm just looking through all the pit stop there. Not a lot of super close battles at the moment. I mean, you can see Crony there trying to run down Maluna, but a lot doing there. That's Jerry Morsdorf, who's a lap down, falling behind him in the LMP, so he's not really a factor in this race. Chuck Chambliss up ahead in the Radical. You can see just ahead of Daniel Crony there as he goes past there with the I am second logo on the car, which is kind of an oddity that I don't think you'd see it in real life, having your sponsor be a larger number than your actual car number. Mike Kelly's actually running the number 2, unfortunately not in this race right now, but Chuck's actually the number 15 car in the race, and number 2 though in a, well, I am second, I guess, being the primary sponsor of that car. And there are a lot of people still in the stands here. No one's got away from their seat there. Very exciting finish. All of them probably enjoying some wine.
Probably are, yep. This is wine country after all. And here is Todd Carver. He's currently leading the Ford GTs, and he has a nice 28-second gap back to Daniel Gralti in 2nd place. You can see that's actually Dimas Maulana right behind, so the battle that is closest in the LMPs, quickly coming up to the Ford GT leader, although that battle is slowly deteriorating as Qualroni loses some time. He's back by about 3 seconds to Maulana at the moment. So although he is in traffic right now, so this could be an opportunity for Qualroni to close that gap back up. Oh, and Stoll's off at turn 2.
A little turn to the left there just to make sure he hit that wall nice and square. Car's already been damaged already, so we'll see if he'll try to continue or not. But he's 5 laps down on John Rosetto's for 5th and 3 laps up on Tim McLeish for 7th, so I think he might just park it from there.
That was a close oversteer. That was a close call with that oversteer that Qualroni had going through the final hairpin. You can see the overall second place. Rosetto's off at turn 2 as well. Looks like he didn't try and intentionally hit the wall, but and he's almost spun it around full 360 there again, trying to right his car the right way. So he's going to lose quite a bit of time. But he, I think he managed to just lightly tap the tires there, so he won't have race-ending damage. But and he should be able to continue on. He is currently running in 5th place, so Rosetto's having a solid race here at Sonoma, and he's really not in any danger of losing positions, as Timothy Stoll is in 6th place behind him, but 6 laps down, so
yeah,
no danger there.
No danger of losing any time.
And Todd Carver just moving over to let a few faster class cars go by, as he has a comfortable 27-second lead over Daniel Gralty in 2nd place.
Yeah, I wonder what the LMP lead is looking like at the moment.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, it's actually gone down to under 5 seconds right now. James Cullen is still leading, but Brian Carey has closed that gap up down to 4.5 seconds. And that is quite significant. A little bit of traffic, and that could be down to nothing. And it's either Cullen had some sort of an incident, or a little bit of an off, or something, or Carey's just been slowly closing that gap down, using the getting through traffic faster, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's still 7 minutes and 40 seconds left, and that gap's come down pretty quickly, so we'll see what happens. A little bit of time left.
Oh, Mike Taylor off at high speed, and that is what? Rear wing is not going to work very well. I'm no aerodynamicist, but that's not good.
And he's running in, well, he was running in 4th place. Currently still in 4th place. He's going to keep it
because no one else is competing for him. Carl Mumbauer in 5th is actually he's shown 2 laps down, but he looked like he retired, so I don't know what's going on there.
I think he probably turned it around, did a Kimi Räikkönen, and just turned the car around and ran back on the track. As we're following Todd Carver here, I was following when we were with him before there. I was looking at this side of the car, thinking he was Dan Gralty, and it's like, why does he have a 1 light on there like he's in 1st place? That doesn't make any sense, but yep, no, it's actually Todd Carver, so that explained that. Jerry Mooresdorf going around there. I haven't seen a lot of Todd Carver directly at this point.
And we're taking a look at the LMP of Brian Carey now, and he's got that gap down to under 3 seconds. You can see if, depending on the camera angle, we might be able to catch James Cullen. I think that was him just up there very quickly. So that gap is quickly coming down. And yeah, you can see him just up there going through turn 1 and 2 right now. A bit of traffic, that's going to help Carey a little bit too. Let's see what this battle turns into. The gap under 2 seconds. You can see Chuck Chandler's very kindly braking there to allow Brian Carey to take his full speed going through 3 and 3A. I believe this is Todd Carver there. Ooh, a little bit of a miscommunication. Looked like he was gonna stay wide and then decided to take the apex and then kind of slid back out. So luckily everyone got through that okay. Brian Carey now 2.6 seconds back from James Cullen. So this is quickly becoming a battle. I think this is going to be the only battle on circuit right now. Everyone else is fairly spread apart. Daniel Qualroni is the closest, and he is close to 4 seconds back from Dinos Maulana. So not really a battle right there right now. And let's watch and see if Carey can't reel in James Cullen.
Times like this, you really wish you had flashers on the front of the car like they do in the real
yeah.
I think that one thing with Todd there is when I realized it looked like he was, at the time, looked like he was letting me by 30 seconds ahead of his nearest rival. Probably didn't notice that I was that close, and kind of with 5 minutes left in the race, you kind of put your head down and start making a few passes you wouldn't otherwise normally make.
Yep, and the gap now down to 2.2 seconds, so Kerry taking a few more tenths off of Cullen's lead here in the final stages, and it's going to be very, very close. This is the closest that Cullen's come to losing the overall lead of a race so far this season. And Kerry looks like he's got very, very strong pace. There's a bit of traffic up here that might help Kerry a little bit. Oh, it looks like he might be able to get by without any trouble there. So that actually might hurt Kerry depending on where he gets by. You can see, I believe that is Brent Bryle is kind of keeping out of the way, so Kerry's able to race on. On board now. Oh, well, I was going to say quickly on board. Would have been nice to stick on board to see the LMPs go through the S-bends right there. And we'll take a look at the gap between Cullen and Kerry right now. It looks like it's extended just a little bit. The gap now at 2.7 seconds, so Kerry losing a little bit of time on that last lap. And with 3 minutes, or just over 3 minutes left in the race, it's probably going to be pretty hard for Kerry to be able to get by Cullen right now, because like we pointed out earlier in this broadcast, it's one thing to get close to another car in your class, it's another thing to be able to pass them. So with only 3 minutes left, Kerry's going to have a perfect run coming up here in these final couple laps to be able to put the pass on James Cullen.
Yeah, I do like looking at the paint scheme that we were able to run this year. Is Anthony put together a pretty nice setup for myself and Dan, as well as his own car there. So it's good to see it on the screen in a while. It's been a long race, and I haven't got a chance to look at it all that often.
And here is Gilles Moret. We've seen him a few times this race so far, and we're looking at him because he is quite close to Ryan Huff. You can see Huff just up there, and this is a battle for 9th place as they make their way through a few slower class cars. Ooh, and looks like Gilles Moret is going to try and find a way through. Huff goes a little bit wide going through the first hairpin. Moret probably not going to be able to get the power down to be able to make a move there. Oh, looks like he might actually do it. And
yeah, remember Huff is pretty damaged.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yep, he does have some damage on his car. So Huff is probably just doing his best to be able to make it to the end. And right now he's running in 9th place. So with that damage, probably pretty happy with that. Here is Mike Taylor. He's currently he's still running. Oh, he's going to have another incident going through the S-bends.
Yeah, that rear wing obviously not working all that well. Hard to keep the back end of the car there. So we'll crunch the front end a little bit and balance it out.
Huff actually into the pits now.
With only a minute 20 left in the race, it's either it's either he miscalculated on fuel and he has to make a little bit more to be able to finish, or and that is overall class leader Chris Damron Jr. into the back of Cullen, and you saw the blue and silver LMP of Brian Carey go through because of that incident. So Cullen out of the lead for the LMP. Brian Carey takes the lead with 1 lap to go in the race. Cullen out of first place, Carey the leader. And the gap has opened up to over 5 seconds right now, so Cullen's going to have Brian Carey make a mistake on the final lap of the race to be able to get back and for the win. What a crazy last corner. That was both class leaders getting into each other there in the final hairpin, and that cost James Cullen the lead. Chris Damron Jr., you can see him on shot right there, still leading. He's got a comfortable 11 seconds in front of Russell Cow, so not affecting him, but James Cullen back behind Brian Carey by 5 seconds. We
got Troy Harder running down Brent Browse here. Is 2.5 seconds, and he's cut down about a second, like a few corners there. So this isn't their last lap. I think this is one more lap after this, so he might be able to run him down.
He needs to make up
time.
Yep, time is out. We go around on board with Harder as he tries to see if he can't chase down Bryles. He's got over 3 seconds that he needs to make up as Lauren Bateman finishes a damaged Radical. And that will finish him in... Oh, Brian Carey crosses the start-finish line. That is his first win in the GTC this season. He'll take the win away from James Cullen, who finishes in second place. And it looks like he's run out of fuel on the last lap as well. Oh, and maybe
nice.
maybe a little bit of payback there, displaying his anger at the number 60 of Damron.
Well, except that looked like it might have been Damron running into the back of Cullen.
No, that was James waiting for him.
Oh, okay.
That was Days of Thunder move right there. And obviously seeing that incident for the first time, actually, that was a... That was not good. That was a Radical coming from a long way back, straight into the back of a class leader when he had his lead pretty much set in stone there. So, not sure how that played out, but obviously James not happy with that. I definitely wouldn't be, but and I've said to James before, the way things are going this season, I'm taking anything I can get.
Well, let's see where that leaves the points. James Cullen still on top with 75 points, with Brian Carey just trailing by 7 now. Anthony Muniz, 11 points down, so Brian Carey able to take that step up from where they were and taking the lead properly into second. And look at that, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, all between 1 point. Then in Radicals, we've got Russell Cow also with 75 points, but a bigger gap down to Colin McLean. Lauren Bateman just a little bit behind in 3rd, so good battle there for the top 3. But then John Kuzlin, Mike Kelly look like they're going to battle it out. Mike Taylor, well, he's still got a chance to get into that top 5, but he's starting to slip behind. And finally, Todd Carver with 73 points is tied with Eduardo Vaninka. And so we'll have to see where that goes. Always exciting. It looks like a repeat of, what was it, Season 7, where we had the 4 GTs coming down to the last race. Tanner Galti just 8 points behind, still has a chance at the top spot as well. So good stuff going on in there.
Yeah, that Season 7 there was when James Cullen was still a young up-and-coming racer fighting for a car and ended up winning that championship. All right, schedule here. We're actually, tomorrow we'll be running Sebring. Not tomorrow?
No, not tomorrow.
What am I talking about?
Tomorrow.
Who knows where I am? A week from now, we'll be running Sebring, so by the time this broadcast is out, January 7th, Suzuka is going to be a 2-hour race there. Then we're going to finish the season out with Zolder, Watkins Glen, Phillip Island, and then Road Atlanta. I'm looking forward to Sebring and the 2 hours of Suzuka. 2 hours at Suzuka is going to be a new one for us.
I think we've done an Enduro there once before. I don't remember the season, though.
It was before my time, at least, anyway. Here we go. Let's see if we can do some proper donuts here. Not Tim Stahl donuts.
Nope.
Yep.
Yeah, it just makes you want to win a race so you can show them how it's done, right? Well, you did. Unfortunately, it's not showing you. Did you do donuts, though, Brian?
No, actually, and it sounds kind of silly, but because of our new Clean Driver Award system here, I'm trying to minimize my incident points as much as possible. That being said, too, doing donuts in an LMP outside of grass is pretty hard. Doesn't have a lot of low-end torque on that car.
All right, well, that was quite a race, and we expected it from this track with all the twists and the close racing between the different classes. So good stuff, though. It kept it exciting all the way through. There was just really, if my voice can handle it, that one little gap, and we kept it going strong the whole way along. So thank you, as always, to our sponsors, Z1 Simwheel, to ISRA, its admins and racers who make this all possible, to Brian Carey and Anthony Muniz for commentating here with me, and we will see you again. We're going to be back on schedule with the broadcasts, not lagging behind at all. It's going to be awesome. See you. Have a good night.